Welcome to MYOB, the show for those who do business. We are multi-platform this week. We're on 107 Spark FM and we're also on sparksunderland.com. But you can hear us actually on bdaily.co.uk and you can see us there as well on the webcams here in the studio. We're also on Spark TV. We're on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at MYOB Show and we're also on the blog myobshow.wordpress.com. Right, so on this show we're talking about making the most out of your social networks. We're also talking about press releases and getting the best out of your press releases. We're joined here in the studio by Sally Bales. Hello, Sally, how are you?
Hello, Dom, I'm fine. How are you?
Good to have you here. What do you do? Who are you and what do you do for those who may not know?
Right, so I'm Sally Bales. I'm the MD of Bdaily. So Bdaily is a business news network and working very closely with Mind Your Own Business to pull the show together and hopefully deliver some good content.
You've had a big week this week, haven't you? You've relaunched the website, as it were.
Absolutely. So it's a much broader service now. So it's really kind of pinpointed all of the aspects of Bdaily and our aspirations and taken it to a whole new level. So the new site went live on Monday morning.
Great stuff.
And, you know, we've had some fantastic feedback, so really, really happy.
Good stuff. And also I'm joined by Tom
Hi,
Keithley.
Tom.
Hello, Tom. Who are you and what do you do?
I'm Tom Keithley. I'm the editor at Bdaily, so it's my job to fill up the new Bdaily site with lots of lovely content about businesses throughout the UK. And it's nice to join you in the studio for a change, Dom, because I'm normally just over the phone.
On the phone. It's nice to have people actually here to talk to. Very, very nice. We're also joined as well by Sally Pearson. Hello, Sally. Who are
Hi
you?
there.
Who are you and what do you do?
Right. I'm a PR consultant from a small PR agency called Publicity Seekers. We've got a range of clients and it's our job to get the clients into the press, sometimes to keep them out of the press.
Okay. So actually keeping them out is often as important as keeping them in, I think. It's having the clients in the right way in the press, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Kind of managing an issue and, you know,
yeah.
I know we're going on to press releases later
are
on,
indeed.
so we can get into that a little bit more later if you
Good
like.
stuff. Look forward to it. Right, okay, we'll start off as always with the news from this week, the free top business news stories on bdaily.co.uk, which I believe is the fastest growing business network here in the UK.
It is indeed, yeah. We're growing by a good few thousand a month in terms of members. And we reached our 1.2 million visitor over the space of over 12 months.
Yeah.
We're looking at, you know, trying to get that over a month. But yeah, absolutely. Our reach is fantastic. International online, as well as the domestic marketplace in terms of membership. So it's definitely feeding people the right stuff.
Oh, good stuff. Okay, well, here are the top three stories. I'll go through the headlines, and if it's okay, we'll have a chat on each of them. First story: the owner-employee contract exchanges exchanges workers' rights for shares, which is an interesting thought. Story number 2: Newcastle United announced a controversial payday loans company, Wonga, as their shirt sponsor. Bit of an issue many people have got with that. That's coming up. And also story 3: video games need definition for industry tax relief. Right, we'll start with the first one. So, owner employees, there's a new contract which exchanges worker rights for shares. Who will be affected by this? Tom?
Well, it's a proposal at the moment, Dom. It's one of these things that Osborne's kind of banded around, and to a lot of people it seems like quite a flimsy idea. The idea is to allow businesses more room to grow by stripping away some of what they see as the sort of burdened workers' rights.
Because there's been lots in the news about workers' rights and U-turns on workers' rights and stuff like that, hasn't there, lately?
That's right, yeah. So it's a kind of a scheme to exchange where workers would give up some of their rights to challenge unfair dismissal, flexible working, things like that, and in return they would get proportionate shares of the company, which could sort of financially benefit them.
Yeah.
But there's all sorts of questions around whether that, you know, would work for smaller businesses, what the value is for the worker and such like.
Because John Lewis do this at the moment, don't they?
Yeah, they have a similar scheme. Yeah, so John Lewis is more on the sort of employee-owner model.
Yeah.
And that was something that Nick Clegg's championed. So it'll be interesting to see if he's going to back up Osborne on this one as well. So
a company like yours, Si, which is, you know, it's not anywhere near as many employees as John Lewis. Would this kind of thing matter to you? Would this be an attractive option for yourself, or is it a bit niche, as some people are saying?
I think it's got loads and loads of potential, potholes in it, to be fair. I think it's quite dangerous. I think workers' rights are there for a reason, and they're there to protect people. I can see the thinking behind it in terms of, it's all about stimulating the growth economy. And it's about being able to, allow businesses, small or large, to be more agile. Totally understand that. But I think, this whole kind of exchange of workers' rights, the fundamentals of being an employee who, often quite vulnerable at times. And, giving up maybe potentially your human rights in some respects for share options. And sometimes, share options can be not worth anything really in many respects. So it's a dangerous
shares go up and down as
potential.
well, don't they? So an employee could be given a share option not knowing that the company is potentially going downwards rather than upwards, because not everyone knows about shares, I suppose.
But I think that's kind of the thinking about companies that are actually trading on the stock market. I mean, if you're talking about a privately owned business, shares are only as much as what people are willing to pay for them. Ultimately. And it's just a very, very grey area, and I think I can actually obviously understand the sentiment behind it. But it does send alarm bells in many respects.
Okay, will it make the employment sector a bit more free, these rules, do you think, Si?
Well, I think that's what it's, that's the fundamental of why they're looking at doing it. It's about stimulating agile growth within small, medium-sized businesses, of which, 99% of the marketplace is made up of SMEs. So, it's just different ways to kind of unburden, as Tom said, small owner managers to be able to look more flexibly at how they can get you to work an extra day a week, by making you work extra hours without any overtime. So different incentives like that kind of thing works. But if it's more fundamental, you're not going to get your flexible working because you may need it because you've got children.
Exactly.
There's lots of things like that actually, you could talk yourself out of a job in many respects. If you're not kind of adhering to the requirements of the business owner.
Okay, so there's a lot more questions being thrown up with this new idea than actually answers for
Definitely,
people.
I think if people want to check it out a bit more, there's an excellent column that a lawyer's just done on Bdaily from a guy called Leon Deacon. He's looking at the kind of administration and how that'll work behind it, and he sort of calls that into question. And suggests that it's not actually going to be viable to administer the whole thing. If
you could tweet that to me at NYOB Show, I'll retweet it on so people can can get directed to that. Okay, Brilliant. If it's okay, we'll move on to the second story. Newcastle United have announced Wonga.com will be their new player. It will be their new strip. Many people have issues with this. What is the issues, Tom?
Well, Wonga have had themselves a lot of publicity recently, potentially for the wrong reasons, I suppose. They're seen as a kind of a legalised loan shark, is what some people have accused them of being.
Some people, it's 4,214% is one of the quotes which someone have been.
There's all these astronomical interest that you pay on sort of short-term payday loans, and people think that it's unethical. Personally, I sort of inclined to agree with a lot of the arguments, I think. And people have argued that it shouldn't be advertised on a football shirt because football should be obviously set apart from such kind of business.
People are saying, maybe I could bring in Sally on this. It's pretty bad PR from Newcastle's point of view to be associated with someone who has what people are quoting as a bit of a questionable business plan.
Oh, definitely. From a personal perspective, I'm not for it. I think it's ethically wrong. I think Wonga Arena would be an absolute nightmare. And how many NUFC fans are going to be getting their season tickets next time round on short-term loans?
That's interesting. I
think they've marketed this area really well. I think the club has obviously done the deal for financial input.
I think it's 24 million over 4 years, so it's not small change.
No. And obviously the profile of the area that they're coming into. If you look at, the current economic situation, most of the population in that area may have a need for a short-term loan. So I think it's, I think it's wrong, just from my personal perspective.
Okay, from your personal perspective, and actually I think that is shared by a lot of people. Obviously on here on the show we can't have opinions, but I think a lot of people are saying stuff like that. Also, there's religious grounds. Did you know that the Muslim Council say that a Wonga sponsorship is against Sharia law, and Muslims who actually practice Sharia law shouldn't actually wear Newcastle United tops?
It's interesting,
because
didn't know that.
Apparently in Islam you can't you can't profit from loaning money to people. It's against Sharia law. So these companies are doing that. And also apparently alcohol sponsorship as well, and betting sponsorship is against Sharia law.
Yeah.
And Newcastle currently have 4 Muslim players, so strictly speaking they may not actually be able to wear the tops which they've been given.
That's interesting, because there's a lot of other football clubs as well have betting and alcohol sponsors, and have done so for a number of years.
years.
Probably renew this argument, won't it, around other clubs as well?
Yeah.
Can I just add in on that though? That I think there was a clever move from Wonga and the club to keep the population behind this deal, in that they're calling the stadium back to St James's.
I noticed that. That is very, very clever, isn't it? That's a good PR move then, are you saying? That will make a difference?
I'd say so. I think that will restrict alienation from probably a lot of the fans who may have turned against it had it not involved the naming there.
I think that's very interesting. Okie doke. More of that, of course, on bdaily.co.uk and also at NYB Show on the Twitter. We'll have a link to that story. Right, also, final story, video games need definition for industry tax relief. We're not talking about high definition here. We're needing definition to what a game is so that they can get tax relief. Tom?
Yeah, I thought this was an interesting one to chat about, actually, Dom, because it's the Video Game Industry Association. They're called TIGA. They want to define exactly what it is that a video game is so that it can benefit from these proposed tax benefits that they're going to bring in. I thought it was quite interesting from a kind of future-proofing, they call it, point of view in business, where you have to kind of look to the future of your product to see what it's going to evolve into, so that it might be a completely different proposition somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then they need to build that into the plan from here on in, so that it can benefit from these tax breaks that the government are going to.
Some people who are sat at home, maybe they have their own business doing a crochet company, or they make tubs, plastic tubs, thinking, why do they get tax relief when we don't?
I think there's a huge worldwide problem here around gaming. I think we've got a massive domestic marketplace for gaming companies to be massive innovators nationally and internationally. But one of the problems that we have is other countries are offering major tax relief for these gaming companies to actually go abroad and set up there.
I know Canada gives loads and loads of tax relief to creative industries, and grants that you don't even need to pay back.
And it's all about, yes, absolutely, certain industry sectors are going to get, more, I suppose, more support, and there's reasons for that. It's about stimulation, and it's also about being able to retain them here and grow that industry sector
and
further.
Creating the skills here in the UK.
So all those benefits that come out of it are phenomenal, because our universities have super courses that actually create some future leaders within this industry sector. It's been a huge problem for many years for the gaming industry, and I think this is a good step forward, to be able to put something in place to help it grow and flourish.
Okay, interesting. So we'll keep an eye on that in the future. We have to move on here on FM. We are going to talk here in the studio about making the most out of your press releases. Sally, you're still here, Sally Pearson.
Yeah, hi there.
And so you have your own publicity company, PR firm, Publicity Seekers, don't you?
That's correct, yes. So every day we are writing press releases, so I do feel qualified to comment on this subject area. And obviously Tom and Si kind of coming from the journalist side of things, we'll have thoughts as well.
So why I've got a company, let's say I make there's little sparklers which go in ice creams and stuff and cakes. Why would I ever need to write a press release?
Well, you know what? You might not. And any good PR outfit should advise whether actually there is a need for PR or not. Is the product selling well? Are they meeting their business targets and objectives already with other marketing activities?
Yeah.
A company, I work across B2B, business to business and business to consumer sectors, nationally, regionally and locally. So there's a good scope of different kinds of businesses who do need the services of PR, and that's currently in this marketplace, professional service companies, chemical engineering manufacturing side of things, as well as consumer products, especially retail, where there's a real challenge to keep profiles up, to get people to come into the shops and spend money at the moment. So there is a definite need for lots of businesses, but not every business, to invest in PR.
Okay, so if just say you've been to your PR agency and they say it's definitely worth you going forward with it, do you write it yourself, or do you work with the PR company to sit down and kind of thrash these things out?
I'd sit down with the client and I'd ask the client to tell me what they want to tell the world about their product or service, and then I would pull that together in a press release format. And that would include, making sure that there's a good, strong news hook there that's going to be of interest to the media. Obviously, content-wise, include SEO words that are going to help for online coverage.
So that's search engine optimization.
Yeah. Because most press releases are, obviously going out online at the moment, and we're targeting online media. We're targeting bloggers now.
So search engine optimization basically helps Google find your product. So you write in words in your press release relating to your product, which will then help show up on a Google search. Is that basically
yes?
What that helps with?
So you increase your chances of coming up in the rankings in search activity.
Because often they say that if your website is linked to other websites, it makes your website more valuable in search ratings, as it were. So can press releases help with that then, if it, in essence, getting your message out there digitally?
Yeah, definitely. Our focus is predominantly digital media. Print media is still incredibly important to us, but our focus is definitely on social media and getting our clients out there. We look at our own reading habits and how we absorb media. So Bdaily, top of the desk of a lot of professional people in the region. Click on 9 o'clock. Look at the top stories for the day. We have to reflect and mirror our own habits of how we absorb news and information.
Okay, so if I can bring you in, so you guys are kind of on the other end. You're getting press releases in. Are there things in press releases which really make them top of the pile stuff? Is there things people can do if they're writing a press release which can get their information higher up your agenda, as it were?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's something that Sally will back me up on. Is it's always like the first line tells a lot of the story and has an interesting hook as well. If there's often business people can think that in essence business is quite dry, but loads of interesting stuff goes on within businesses. People are out and about doing business, across the world. Maybe they've got a really innovative product, something that's unusual and unique can really sell the story. And that's normally presented to us in the first line. So immediately when we have a lot of press releases obviously through every day. Yeah, that's one of the first things that we can notice, is that it's got an interest and it makes me want to read on through the rest of the release, and that's obviously going to make a good story.
So what's the story is a very good question to be asking. That's what they always used to ask in the newsroom. What's the story? What are you saying? What is the hook to draw the listener or to draw the reader in, as it were?
I think the structure of the press release is absolutely paramount. The titling as well, in terms of how many readers we can kind of believe that would read it, and find it appealing. The image that goes with it, so the photograph, is equally important. I'm sure Sally would agree. But I think,
like they say, an image can tell 1,000 words, the old saying.
Exactly. But I think, from our point of view as a news channel, as a media channel, we often find that working alongside PR agencies, of which we work with thousands now, which is great across the UK, we want them to understand, I suppose, the type of news that we want to receive, and I think that's part of the PR agency's role in many respects. They facilitate that for and part of their, I suppose, their remit as a representative of a company would be that they understand what particular channels are looking for.
Yeah.
And I think with Bdaily, we're very much about business, and anything to do with business we're very interested in. It doesn't necessarily mean that the journalists will pick it up per se, but then we're a wider network, and we offer publishing licenses to PR agencies so that they can publish as well on behalf of their clients. So it's
so they can put stuff on your website, as it were.
They can, if they're deemed, if they're seen as being a good quality partner to Bdaily, then we can give them that facility to do that. So it's an enabling channel to be able for PR agencies to start to look at that. But I think it's very important as a channel to be able to receive the right type of news, and I think that's just as important as what you're saying.
So you need to also assign your target audience.
Definitely.
Who are you speaking to? Because there are lots of business networks out there, and you might actually have quite to say I had a company. I might actually have quite a niche market, and just say, for example, I have a whiskey company. I might actually be better off sending my whiskey business related stuff to a whiskey website. If it's a bit niche.
Well, I think it's about tailoring the story according to where you're sending it to. So you could talk about the man behind the setting it up and what your journey was and all that kind of stuff, or you could talk about the market share and the penetration that you've achieved so far. That would be interesting to Bdaily. The actual components, the ingredients of the whiskey wouldn't be of interest to Bdaily. That would be for the whiskey website, but it's horses for courses, isn't it? And it's just about being able to segment your market to understand it, and then you should be able to get far better coverage.
I think that the targeting is really important, and it's important for the client as well, because it means it's less wastage. It's important to get it tailored for the media channel that you are targeting. Otherwise, you're going to get lost. If I sent Tom and Si something about a consumer-focused released on the qualities and ingredients, that's not telling a business story that they would be interested in. But a taste magazine, food magazine, drinks magazine, they might be interested in that kind of thing. And I think it's really important for anyone starting out, and that they do realise you can't just send out a blanket press release to everyone on a big long email list. That approach doesn't work in getting the quality coverage and quality service for the journalists you work with.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. So to sum up, you need to know what's your story, what's your hook, who's your audience, and what channels are you going out on, and what do they want, basically. Okay, if it's okay, we'll move on to the next subject. So we're talking, it's a similar area, but we're talking about making the most out of your social network and social media presence. Obviously, bdaily.co.uk, you can have a social media presence with you guys, can't you?
Yeah, well, obviously our intention is that Bdaily becomes part of that mix. We're not at the level of Twitter, LinkedIn and Facebook yet. And because we are a very niche market, we are, only interested in business. And we sit between, I suppose, traditional press and online, social media, I suppose. So kind of a mix of two a foot in both camps in many respects. But absolutely, and we use our networks ruthlessly in many respects. So, you can sign up with any social network into Bdaily now. You can publish all of your content that you publish onto Bdaily. It auto publishes onto your other accounts. Onto your timeline, on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. So that's really enabling for small businesses to be able to have that power in their belly to be able to go, right, if I'm going to publish onto Bdaily, I'm going to also, be able to reach a broader audience through social networks. We also have over 50,000 followers on Twitter now, which is great. So we've got amazing. A massive, big, following, Facebook and LinkedIn following behind that. So it allows us to have that reach and pull that, that's really essential to reaching and bringing more people into the site to digest the news that we're producing.
So you guys clearly seem to have a very successful social media site. What kind of things do you do? What are the do's and don'ts when you're setting up an account? I often find when I'm looking for companies like on Yale.com and stuff like that, I will be drawn to the ones who have actually got just a nice bit of blurb and a photo and have bothered to fill in the information. Is simple stuff like that can help?
Does definitely. I think pictures, a smart picture intelligent. I think some people kind of blur the lines between a personal account and a business account, or it can go too far the other way, and it could be completely businessy. It'd be very staid and stilted kind of communication. I think you have to do a little bit of a mix to make it a kind of personable, realistic, and kind of engaging feed. And we find on Bdaily anyway, people can post their own opinion and comment, and if you're doing that in an intelligent way, but you're also kind of interacting with people on a personal level with that kind of information, that really sets you apart from people who are kind of tweeting party line kind of business lines that have been fed, I suppose.
Yeah, I think in the social media arena, I think for me the rule is just be the one person out there, and have that mix. Obviously for Facebook, I'm sure all my business contacts won't be interested in what I'm up to at the weekend, so but I will do a blend of activity on Twitter of what I'm doing, because I know I've got an audience that's business and personal on there.
So again, it's knowing your audience and knowing what channels will work for you, because I spoke to a lot of people here on the show and they say Twitter is brilliant, got loads and loads of followers, loads of business on Twitter, trying Facebook for 5 years, no one cares. I think that kind of is across the board, that some things work for some companies and some social networks don't. Sai?
Yeah, I think it's your intention, really. It's what Sally was saying. It's how you put yourself out there and what your intention is in terms of how you want to be perceived is number one.
Yeah.
What you're saying, how you contribute to debate. I think that whole kind of interactivity is really important.
Yeah.
And what you say in that debate.
Yeah.
We have we call them our rogues. We have rogues who talk quite extensively across our social media and on commentary on Bdaily. And they're just provocateurs in many respects. And that's fine. That's good. That's okay, as long as they don't step over that line.
Sensibly.
But I think it comes down to what you want out of it. I always see it as, how do you interact physically to how you interact online. It's very similar. You've just got different tools, but you still want to communicate in the same style. You still want to, your intention is A, to build profile, or B, to get business, then contribute in an intelligent way, and build a relationship in a way that you'll be able to actually take it off social media and onto email or telephone or physically, to be able to to actually create real business. But I think it's not seeing it as separate, it's seeing it as an integral part of your communications, and I think that's essential. How do you conduct yourself in a business setting? It has to be seen across the board. If you mix it, Sally was saying she mixes her personal and professional, that can absolutely work, because Sally's a communicator, so it's all about communicating, and maybe the softer side of what she's doing, what she thinks is part of the charm of it just depends how you want to communicate and who with. It's the same principles.
I heard some interesting statistics about Twitter, that if you've got a business Twitter account, 80% should be useful and 20% should be selling. That's kind of because I think a lot of people on Twitter especially find that if you're selling all the time, people turn off, because actually they like people to be useful, to be destinations, where they can find out interesting things, which maybe happen to be with, my brother, for example, has his own company who teach English lessons, so he has lots of facts about the English language and about French language and European languages. So he tries to do 80% talking about languages, and then only 20% saying, hey, we do this, we do that. I think it's having the right mix, isn't it, Si?
Yeah, well, it's the same thing again, isn't it? If you go networking, if all you're going to stand in a network and sell yourself, look, I'm great, buy off me, people are just going to walk away and they're not going to be interested. If you're going to talk, lots of opportunities, we were talking before, me and Sally, we get loads of opportunities to go and talk. Now I could go and just pitch up Bdaily all the time. Bdaily's great and but actually, if you're going to give some valuable lessons about what you know, and so your knowledge, your experience, you share all of that. At the back of that, it's amazing what comes out of it in terms of business. You often do find that people, you build your credibility, you build people's trust in you, and then the business comes after that. It naturally does, because they want to do business with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, Dom, it's all about, as I was saying, it's about adding value. You give something and then you take a little back. So I think the 80-20 rule's probably a good thing.
Okay, lovely stuff. Right, we will leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much to Si and also to Tom from bdaily.co.uk. How can we get in touch throughout the week? Because you guys have stuff on all the time.
Best place is bdaily.co.uk, Dom, for all the latest news, but we're also on Twitter. Our handle is @Bdaily Network. You can give us a call in the office if you think we've got a great story, or drop me an email, editor@bdaily.co.uk. We're always happy to hear from people.
Excellent. Sally, thank you very much for coming in as well.
Thank you for having me.
That's right. How can people get in touch with you if they want to get more information on the stuff we've been talking about today with you guys?
Yeah, I'd welcome any inquiries. You can find me at spearson@publicityseekers.co.uk or follow me on Twitter @publicityseeker.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Right, I hope you've enjoyed the show today. It is the first one of the multi-platform. We're working on a multi-platform format. So going forward from around about November time, we'll be starting to do more TV, radio, online stuff. So we're on 107 Spark FM and sparksunderland.com on the radio. We are on bdaily.co.uk. You can watch the video. You can also listen to us radio style if, just say, you're on your phone and you don't necessarily have the bandwidth to do the video. You can also get us on Spark TV as well. And throughout the week at NYB Show on Twitter and nybshow.wordpress.com. Don't worry, you don't have to remember any of that because all that's on Twitter. Right, until next week, take care. Bye.